My name has never been pronounced that well, so thank you very much for that. Um, Tim told me, we invite very different perspectives and different points of views, and I thought everybody says that. It's not really true. And then yesterday, you have somebody who says, forget all this data and happiness index, what's all that rubbish? And today you have me saying, well, actually, I was part of the team that put together that World Happiness Index. So, and we at Gallup believe we don't have too little data. We have too much data on a whole lot of stuff, but on how people feel, how people think, what they want, we rarely ask them. We have very little data on who felt safe walking down the street yesterday. Well, guess what? In Denmark, a lot more people felt safe walking down the street than in the US or many other countries in the world. So that data actually means something. It's not just numbers. It actually means people's lived experiences. And I'm happy here today representing Gallup to talk to you about some data points. We've been studying, so I have 6 data points that I want to share with you. We've been studying, for 95 years around the world. We've been asking people, what are your experiences? What do you feel? What do you enjoy? What does it make you do? How do you behave as a result of those feelings? And we learned one really interesting thing that me, as a Gambian, who was born in Gambia, raised in Germany, lived in Tunisia, around the world, really, I love. We have much more that binds us together than sort of keeps us apart. What we want for a life well lived is pretty much the same thing, whether you're in China, Gambia, US, Portugal, and there are 5 things we need. One is what we call career or purpose well-being. Do you enjoy doing what you do every day? Does it add to your life, or does it subtract from your life? I'll come back to that later. The second thing is social well-being. Daniel Kahneman, one of our good friends at Gallup and senior scientist, says the quality of your life depends how many people you love and how many people love you. And our research shows that social well-being is, do you have love in your life and social relationships where you know people are there for you? The more you have that, the better your life is. The third thing is what we call financial well-being. Obviously, money can't buy happiness. Well, to a certain level. Maybe not for us here, but for some people, a little more money will make them happy. But it's less about how much money you have. It's more about financial stability, we find in the research, and not being in debt, one of our biggest problems in the world. We're all in debt. Then we have a piece called community well-being. Are you part of a community? Do you feel you're contributing to your community, your city, your town, your village, your house? Are you part of somewhere you feel appreciated and you feel people allow you to really contribute? The more you feel you're part of a community, the better your life is. And finally, obviously, no surprise, physical well-being. And it's not that we all need to run marathons like some very fit people I've seen here that are making me feel bad. I have to wear an extra light shirt to hide this. It's about, is your body keeping you from doing the things you want to do? If your body doesn't keep you from doing the things you want to do, your physical well-being is all right. But we find that while all 5 are important, one does seem to be more dominant than the others. Career purpose well-being. Because somebody said it today, we spend more time at work than we do with any other pursuit. If work's crap, the rest of the life is unlikely to be good because those emotions sadly don't stay at work. Sometimes we all wish it would be easier. So those are the 5 things that make for a life well lived. Now let's focus on that first one, career purpose well-being. How do people feel about work? Sadly, only 20% of the world's population, we study this every year across 160 countries, representative samples of 98% of the world's population, only 28% of people actually feel that their work is adding to their lives. What does that mean? It means they know what is expected of them. It means they feel somebody cares about them as a person. It means they have friendships. It means they are growing and learning. And guess what? Only 20% of us feel this consistently. What a shame. 62% of us, it's all right. We'll do the minimum and can't wait to go to the real world. And then we have 18% who work is killing. Going to work takes away from their life. It makes them frustrated. They feel lonely. They feel alone. 20% of the world's population does not have somebody they can talk to if they have a problem. And they're working. That is the sad state of work that we live in. And that also shows us how work can be the difference. Now, there are differences that exist. One question we've been getting a lot, obviously, in the COVID as well. I'm sure COVID has changed everything, right? Or the generations. I see a lot of young people here. Generational differences. Well, COVID actually, to start with that one, it's actually revealed what one of our biggest findings is. At the aggregate level, overall engagement has not been affected by COVID. No change. But when you look at individual teams, you start to see differences. So if you were in a team where your manager cares and checks in and pushes you and challenges you and helps you to grow. In COVID, when we were either working from home or elsewhere, those managers consciously reached in and said, hey, how are you doing today? Are you all right? Those teams' engagement actually went up as a result of COVID. Now, if you happen to be one of the unfortunate people who your manager just, didn't do that ever pre-COVID, well, now that they don't see you in the office and get to accidentally talk to you, because that's what they were doing previously, accidental management, right? They see you on the way to the toilet, they go, oh, Thomas, how's it going? How's that project? You're working on it? Good, good. That's part of your job as a leader and a manager, to check in on your people. Where you take people from the office, there goes accidental management, so we saw engagement decline. But at the aggregate level, it stays the same. The other question is around generations. And we do see, yes, there are differences in expectations, but the needs are the same. Human beings don't evolve that fast, guys. The notion that over 2 generations we become different social animals is just, come on, guys, it's not realistic. We're still the same beings we were. What we need is just now, as a younger generation, we can demand it a lot more. The big difference we see around who's engaged or not is not what's your gender or what's your ethnicity or what's your age group. It's who's your boss. When we look at all of the engagement data that we collect, and thousands of companies that we partner with to measure this, help them drive it, the single largest source of variance is not which industry you're in. It makes a difference. It's not which function you're in. It's not how much money you make. By the way, you make more money, it will make a difference. It will drive your engagement. It helps. But actually, by far, the largest source of variance in engagement levels is who's your boss. I heard somebody yesterday say, I love my boss, and I said, you have a good life. Because the data actually shows clearly that those who feel positively about their boss feel a lot more positively about their life in general. 70% of the variance. Now, one of the ways that we think that people, all of us, can make a difference here is through a number here, 65. But that number is actually a red number. When we ask people, and let me do this now, if you get a list of your top 10 strengths and top 10 weaknesses, which list do you look at first? Who goes strengths first? See, guys, what is wrong with us? 65% of us, in this room it was even a bigger number, go straight to what is wrong. We have been designed to think about what is wrong with us, and that is how we lead and manage people. The vast majority of employees tell us that their manager only focuses on what is wrong with them. Now, how motivating does it feel when the people you interact with are constantly telling you what you do wrong? Not so great, does it? And we know for a fact through our research, and I'll move to one other data point, that when there's an emphasis on what is right with people, rather than what is wrong with them. Now, it doesn't mean that if you screw up, we don't talk about it. But how do we talk about it? Where do we place the emphasis? And those of us, those leaders who place the emphasis both for themselves in their self-talk, but also in their interaction with others, in how they lead people, in how they communicate messages, who focus on the strength, what happens there is that engagement goes down to 1%. Sorry, disengagement, active disengagement. Where for the others is like 45%. If you're focusing on what is wrong with me, or even worse, if you're ignoring me, that's the worst thing you can do to people, ignoring them. But focusing on what is right with people takes active disengagement down to 1%. What a difference it makes in the quality of our lives. And it is so simple, but there's a reason we do this. It's evolution. We have evolved to be very negative and angry. I know this is concrete love. I'm sorry to say this, nobody throw any bottles. Hate is stronger than love. Nobody likes to hear this because it's so not cool. But you go to the best restaurant in the world and you go to the worst restaurant in the world. Guess which one you'll talk about more? It's just we are designed like that. Our evolution, the optimistic people did not survive. Because the optimistic people heard something. No, careful, guys. This is actually kind of sad. I don't know why we're laughing. The optimistic people heard something that sounds like a snake, and they said, well, is it a snake? Maybe it's not. They died. Who survived? Who are our forefathers? They ran away. They didn't think. They thought the worst is going to happen. Because the world was a dangerous place, and that's how we survived. We should be grateful for it. Now, the world is still dangerous, but not everything around us is trying to kill us anymore. But we still behave like everything around us is trying to kill us. We're still inherently negative about everything we do. So this is something where we consciously and actively and deliberately need to challenge our self-talk, how we manage, how we lead, how we communicate, to get to only 1% being actively disengaged. It is possible, but it's work. It doesn't happen intuitively. Amongst even those of us who feel we're intuitive leaders, it takes work. And the final data I want to end on, data point, is that when we've asked people around the world, do you feel you focus on your strengths? Do you feel you know your strengths? Most people don't even know their strengths. You ask them about their strengths, they say, well, I can work with SPSS. Like, that's not a strength, really. It's not really what I had in mind. But people who know and play to their strengths, they evaluate their life 3 times more positively than people who don't. So this is not just about business, which is what I focus on. It is also about the quality of lives we get to lead as people, as human beings on this planet Earth. So I'd like to end with focus on your strengths. Ask yourself what your strengths are. What are your natural thought and thinking patterns? They might feel like, in German we say Macken, I don't know, like quirks. It might feel like quirks sometimes, that you need to hang your clothes a certain way all the time. Something is wrong with you if you do that, by the way, but guess what? That's a strength. It means you are more structured than the rest of us will ever be. Lean into it, own it. That's how you drive yourself, your engagement, and those around you. Thank you so much for having me. Everybody play to your strengths.